my name is Tim Mobley, and welcome to How to Checkmate with the King, Bishop, and Knight, and so much more. That's my book that's in stores everywhere. So today, we're going to focus in on chess notation, in particular, algebraic chess notation. And I'll keep it short and I'll keep it simple, but hopefully it will answer most, if not all, of your questions. So to start off with, we're just going to do scholar's mate, just to familiarize you with all of this. So, imagine you're a teacher. And normally teachers have 20, 30, or more kids in their class, sometimes 40. But those who have 40, hopefully they have helpers with them, like teachers' assistants. But imagine if you're a teacher in a class, and instead of 20, 30, or 40 students, you have 64 students, and you're by yourself. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is that 8 of them are named A, and 8 of them are named B, all the way up to H. Okay, that's a teacher's nightmare. Well, what do we do? Well, in this case, if the teacher said, A, how much is 2 plus 2? All 8 of them would raise their hands. So instead, the teacher would have to go A4. It's kind of like when teachers have 2 students with the same first name. They'll go Billy C and Billy W. Well, in this case, it would be A1, A2, A3, all the way up to A8. So this student's name would be F, F1, F2, F3, F4. And this student's name would be H, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So, that's how we tell the names of all 64 squares on the board. Now, regarding the pieces, each of the pieces have a code letter. So the code letter for the rook is the letter R, that's right. The code letter for the bishop, the letter B. Now, in chess notation, these are all capitalized. And the files are all lowercase letters. So that's the way we should write it here. And I'm going to demonstrate that as well. So, now, the code letter for the queen is the letter, that's right, capital Q. The code letter for the king, that's right, the letter K. And finally, we get to the code letter for the knight. Now, we all know knight is spelled how? That's right, K-N-I-G-H-T. But we're using the K for the king already. So, instead, we use the second letter, which is the N, capital N, for the knight. Because the K is being used for the king. Now, we're ready to begin. Now, each of these pawns, they don't have code letters. So if this pawn decides to move here, that would be, we just say the square where it's going to. E4. Now, here's the tricky part. In chess, what you want to get used to is you want to get used to writing your move down first. E4. Just like that. Looking at it, and then making your move. It's a little safeguard. That way, it gives you a little chance. If you know you have to write down your move anyway, because everyone should be doing chess notation, right? Right. So, write down E4 first, then look at the board and say, is E4 a good move? You decide yes, and then you move on. And then your opponent is going to make a move. They're thinking about it, And then they're going to write down their move on their paper, or they should. And then they're going to make their move. E5. And when that happens, you see it, you write it down, E5. Just like that. Now, when that happens, you have to think of your next move. And so let's say what you want to do is you want to move your queen way over here because you're attempting scholar's mate. Something that I do not recommend, but you should always know the defense against that, which I'll deal with in a later video. So, let's say you want to move your queen to H5. So what's the code letter for the queen? It's Q. So we write down Q. Notice we write it down first. H5. And then we make the move. Here's H, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. And then you move the queen there. Now notice when you're going over games, what you want to do is you want to find the square where you're moving, and then you want to make the move. So you kind of read it backwards. So QH5 would be find H5, H, and then move the queen there. Now, it's black's turn. So, black would of course write down the move QH5, and then they decide, they're going to move their knight over here to protect this pawn. So what they do is they write it down first, NC6, and then they make their move. Now what you do is you write down the move that they just did, NC6. Then you think about the move you want to make. I think in this case, what you want to do is you want to move this bishop right over here to C, C1, C2, C3, C4. So then you write down that move first. B, C4. And then you move the bishop there, just like that. And now, let's say, what does black do? Well, black sees that, this bishop's attacking here and this queen is attacking here. So black says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move my knight. So black says, I'm going to move my knight over here to H6. That'll prevent that from being attacked, because there are two things attacking and there'll be two things defending. So black writes down N H6 on their side, and then they make their move. And then you write down N H6, and now it's your turn. What do you do? Well, you decide to go for a little ruse. That's a little trick. Throw them off their game. That's always fun. So, you go D4. You want to move this pawn here to D4. So this pawn goes to D4. Notice, this is a lowercase d. And then you make that pawn move right there. Now, black says, hey, I can capture with this or with this. in this case, black decides to capture with the pawn. So, black writes down EXD4. So what that means is this pawn, the pawn on the E file, takes on D4. Now you don't have to mark down what it takes, you just write EXD4. So they just take right there, just like that. And when that happens, you write down EXD4, just like that. Okay, now again, these aren't the best moves, I'm just demonstrating how you write them down. So, let's say now, white decides, I'm going to move this knight out. So, white moves the knight out to F3. So this knight comes here. Oh, did I do something wrong? Yes, I did. I did not write it down first. You should always write it down. N, F3. So then this knight moves here, apparently attacking this pawn. But that pawn is defended by the knight, so white doesn't really care so much. And then, let's say black says, ooh, I want a castle, so I should get my bishop out. That would help me castle, right? Yeah. So, but before black does that, black decides, you know what? I'm going to move this pawn up because it's a good way to keep this bishop from coming here. So, black does A6. And then, you see that and we write down A6, lowercase a6. Now, white decides, I'm going to castle. So, castling on the king's side is 0-0. Castling on the queen's side, when there's nothing here, is 0-0-0. So in this case, we're going to go 0-0. So, white decides to castle. And again, these aren't the best moves, it's just a way of showing how chess notation works. Now, black says, I want a castle too. So black writes down what white did, 0-0, and then black would write down what it's going to do, which is bring the bishop over here. So black writes down B, C5, and then moves the bishop here, because it's looking at castle. Then, white writes down the move that black just made, B, C5, and then white decides, okay, now I'm going to see if I can prevent black from castling. So, white says, I'm going to take this knight now with the pawn. I mean with the bishop. So, that would be B, X, H6. So it goes B, X, H, 6. There we go, just like that. And then white makes the move. B, X, H6. Again, you don't have to know what's being taken, just that it's taking on H6. Now, Well, black could castle, and that would probably be black's best move at this point. Or black may say, well, they took me, I'll take them back. So the pawn on the G file takes on H6. So that would be G x H6. Takes there. After they wrote both moves down. So then white would write that move down. G x H6. And finally, the move that white would make to give checkmate would be Q x F7 mate. And the way that you would do it is Q x F7, and mate is done by the pound sign or the tic-tac-toe sign, just like that. And then come here, and that's checkmate, good game.